Chapter 51 Stress Won't Go Away. You are listening at novelfull.audio. At that moment, Shiro and Kalen stared, awestruck by the glowing orb surrounding Shinji. Shinji himself was lost in thought. Dream construction had to be Nightmare's ability. Dreams were spiritual, perfect for his Mangekyo Sharingan. Without proper guidance, illusions were always a weak spot for him. Dream construction could fix that, so he quickly decided to snag it. What really gave him pause were the snare drum and the quickness ability. The little drum was a physical object. If he carried it, his cover would be blown. So, it had to go to Bai or Xianglin, same with quickness. If he took it, he could only use it when repelling invasions. Using it at the Ninja Academy would be a dead giveaway to Bai and Xianglin. The drum's potential is limited, but it could be a lifesaver for Xianglin. Giving quickness to Bai is the play. His taijutsu is already solid, this will take it to the next level. Decision made. Shinji absorbed the dream construction light, then told Bai and Xianglin, one each. Shiro, you're on the left, Xianglin, on the right. Bai reached for his orb, mimicking Shinji's movements, and froze, a look of shock spreading across his face. Xianglin grabbed her light, and it morphed into a palm-sized drum. Hey, isn't this the ghost's drum? Wait, it's smaller. She recognized it as a miniature version of the drum the ghost had used. Meanwhile, Shinji was soaking up the memories from dream construction, his face lighting up, just as he hoped. Nightmare's dream-building experience filled the gaps in his illusion skills. It wouldn't be an overnight fix, it would take practice and experimentation, but now, he didn't have to fly blind, just guessing and hoping like before. Snapping back to reality, Shinji looked at Shiro and Karen. Seeing their happy faces, he knew they understood their new powers. He said gravely, I need you to remember something important. Of course. Hearing Shinji's serious tone, Bai and Xianglin straightened up. Shinji said slowly, anything connected to ghosts, items, information, even memories, is a threat to the ninja world. What? Bai and Xianglin recoiled, Xianglin nearly dropping the drum. Shinji didn't sugarcoat it. So, no ghost-related information leaves this room. And anything we get from them stays with us. No exceptions. Xianglin couldn't help asking, what happens if something leaks? Glancing at Karen, Shinji answered, if it does, those foreign objects and that knowledge become the anchors between our world and the ghost world. They'll spread like a disease, dragging both worlds together. Xianglin gulped. And then? Then, both worlds are screwed. Shinji felt a weight lift off his shoulders after saying all that. Xianglin was puzzled. Wait, if that's true, why did the ghosts invade us? Wouldn't that doom their world too? Bai seemed to catch on. Is that why you used an illusion to torture the ghost earlier? Shinji nodded slightly. Honestly, I have no idea why ghosts are invading the ninja world. Bai and Xianglin felt a chill run down their spines. Shinji saw their faces and thought, looks like I just shifted the pressure, not eliminated it. Thinking about his new ninjutsu, Bai asked, Lord, will the memories we have endanger the ninja world? Xianglin looked at Shinji, nervous. Shinji shook his head. Don't worry, we're different. We can block the contamination, but only for ourselves. If your loot gets out, the contamination spreads. Xianglin clutched the snare drum tight. Shinji looked at her. Best to keep it on you at all times. Yes, sir. Xianglin nodded quickly. She actually liked the space-bending drum, but she didn't know it was such a risk. Luckily, it was palm-sized, plain-looking, and didn't react to chakra. It wouldn't attract attention. Okay, remember what I said. Ghost memories are a form of contamination, so we're splitting up. We need to gather the survivors. Shinji gave the order. Bai and Xianglin knew the gravity of the situation, and without hesitation, followed Shinji's instructions. The town wasn't large, and after the ghost rampage, only about 100 people were left. Luckily, they were all trapped in the dream ghost's illusion, making it easy for Shinji and the others to find and gather them. Looking at the survivors scattered on the street, Bai asked, his voice shaking, Lord, what do we do with them? Xianglin couldn't bear to look. If their memories were contamination, then the only solution was to wipe them all out. Seeing their misunderstanding, Shinji said casually, "Where are you going with this? Ghosts can leave memories in their minds, and I can take those memories out." He activated his Mangekyo Sharingan. In an instant, Shinji slipped into the survivors' dreams. He used his Sharingan's illusion to seal the ghost memories in their minds and replaced them with a false memory of a fire destroying the town. Coming out of the dream, he covered his eyes, gasping for air. Sealing the memories of hundreds of people and implanting a false one was a heavy burden, even for the Mangekyo Sharingan, but it was worth it if it meant keeping his hands clean and avoiding slaughtering innocent people. Bai and Xianglin sensed something was wrong with Shinji and asked, worried, "Lord, are you alright?" That if they had been scared or even disgusted by the leader who threatened them to join the mysterious organization, their feelings had now become dependence and trust. Shinji waved them off. "Get ready to wrap things up." He pointed to several areas and ordered Shiro and Karen to set fires, creating the same blaze as the false memory he had implanted. So many people had died, there had to be a good explanation so Shinji's illusion would stick. Fire was perfect. Bai and Xianglin got to work. Soon, the dark town was ablaze. Reward settlement in progress. Rating A. The notification chime rang in Shinji's ear once again. The first one is here. Continue to roll and ask for recommendation tickets, monthly tickets. The new book is already, words long. Those who can follow up, please try to turn to the last page. Those who can see my words seem to have turned to the last page. End of this chapter. Chapter 52 Unexpected Encounter. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Privilege upgrade, ninja gift options increased to 3. Choose your ninja gifts, a small amount of chakra, a slight natural energy affinity, or a random A-level ninjutsu. Or, give up the ninja gift from the A-level evaluation and get a random reward. The lamp's voice echoed in Shinji's head. Another A-level evaluation. He'd wiped out those ghosts pretty damn fast. Most of the town's casualties happened before he even got there. He figured A-level was probably the highest rating he could get under normal circumstances. To get anything higher, he'd probably have to intercept the ghosts before they invaded, or take down some seriously huge, powerful intruder. He considered his options. Chakra was out, he had enough of the regular stuff. He needed high-quality in-release chakra, the kind he couldn't produce himself, and he didn't need random A-level ninjutsu right now. His Kaleidoscope Sharingan was versatile enough, but he needed to focus on developing its specific abilities that left the natural energy affinity. This'll probably help me resist natural energy's effects on my body and increase my chances of mastering Sage Mode. Some people in the ninja world were just naturally better suited to mastering Sage Mode. Basically, the more resilient your body, the more chakra you have to dilute the natural energy, the higher your chances of success, like Hashirama and Naruto. So, yeah, this natural energy affinity was tempting, but after weighing everything, he decided to skip the ninja gifts and go for the random reward. Upping his authority was the most important thing. The higher it was, the better the rewards would be down the line. If he got greedy and sacrificed long-term gains for short-term boosts, he'd be screwed if he ever ran into that mysterious lamp bearer again. I'm giving up the ninja gift, generating random reward. Merit points, 25. Totaling merit points. Total merit points, 46. Wow, 25 points this time. Guess the random reward isn't fixed. He did the math, 25 points from the random reward, plus the 5 from the A-level evaluation. That was like getting 30 points in one go. At this rate, he could raise his authority again in just 2 more runs. Meanwhile, Bai and Xianglin had put out the fires they'd started. The townspeople were working together to extinguish the flames, making it look like they'd all just been overcome by smoke. Shinji looked around, making sure they hadn't missed anything, and got ready to head back, but then Xianglin spoke up, "Lord Shinji." He saw her hesitate. "What is it?" Xianglin pointed to the forest in the distance. "Over there. I think I sense a chakra, hidden really well. I don't know if it's a ghost." "What?" Shinji frowned, looking in that direction. It was a dense forest, and even with his Kaleidoscope Sharingan, all he could see were layers of trees. Bai tensed up. "Are you sure, Xianglin?" Xianglin shook her head. Not really. The chakra keeps flickering in and out, so it feels a little like a ghost, but also, different. Let's check it out. Shinji jumped forward, heading straight for the spot Xianglin indicated. He wasn't about to assume all the ghosts were gone just because the lamp had given him the all-clear. With other lamp bearers out there, his own lamp might be getting interference because his authority was too low. That's why he'd picked Xianglin as his aide. Because of her mind's eye of the Kagura, he needed to cross-reference the lamp's information with Xianglin's senses. Neither was necessarily more reliable than the other. They plunged into the thick woods, guided by Xianglin's constant corrections. They changed direction several times, finally arriving at a dilapidated old temple. Shinji studied the temple. Inside, Xianglin frowned, unable to decide, but circled around and returned quickly. Lord Shinji, there are candles lit inside. Let's go. Shinji ordered, stepping into the temple first. He froze in the main hall, his expression changing instantly. Bai and Xianglin stopped behind him, confused. They looked toward the center of the hall, where a blond boy sat cross-legged. The blond boy with a spiky ponytail saw them too. He looked them up and down. Hey! Who are you three supposed to be, dressed like wandering ninjas? What do you want? Shinji was taken aback. He recognized the blond kid as Deidara, the rebellious genius and proud student of the third Tsuchikage. He just hadn't expected to run into Deidara here, now. He hasn't joined Akatsuki yet. Looking around the familiar temple hall and at Deidara sitting alone, Shinji suddenly understood. Deidara hadn't been recruited by Akatsuki yet, but the timeline meant it was coming soon. After Itachi joined Akatsuki, he assassinated the fourth Mizukage, forced Orochimaru out, and recruited Deidara. If Shinji remembered correctly, Itachi had recruited Deidara at this very temple, which meant Itachi was probably on his way right now, maybe just a day or two out. After all, Deidara couldn't stay in a deserted temple forever. Hey! I asked you something. Why are you here in the middle of the night? You're wearing masks. Did that old man send you to arrest me? Deidara smirked, as if he'd found something fun, and reached into the clay pouch at his waist. How about this? Shinji cursed under his breath. Deidara had seen them dressed like Akatsuki members. Even if they turned around and ran, Akatsuki would find out someone was impersonating them after they recruited Deidara, then Akatsuki would come after them. His plan to use Akatsuki as a shield was falling apart. Deidara pulled out 2 balls of explosive clay. I just had an inspiration. Let me show you my art. Knowing there was no way to back down, Shinji took a deep breath and stepped forward. Deidara, he said, we're here to invite you to join us. Deidara frowned. Who are you? Akatsuki. Chapter 53. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Shao. Never heard of M. Don't bug me with some wandering ninja crew like you. Let me show you what real art is. Deidara scoffed. He then kneaded a wad of detonating clay. In a blink, a spider made of clay, looking like the real deal, sat in his hand. Lame, Shinji said after a pause. I win. You're in. How dare you underestimate my art? Furious, Deidara chucked the clay spider. Boom. A violent explosion engulfed Shinji and his crew in an instant. The main hall took the hit, half of it collapsing. Deidara stood amidst the rubble, cackling like a maniac. That's all you got? You dare call my art lame? What a joke of an organization. Suddenly, a voice, almost a whisper, floated in the air. That's your art? How boring. Deidara froze, as if struck by lightning. His eyes darted around, sharp and suspicious. Even though he was only 12 and fresh out of Ninja Academy, his raw power was already at the level of a jonin. When it came to sheer destructive force and speed, he outclassed even some of the elite. He knew something was up, his surprise plain on his face. I'm caught in a genjutsu. Then, Shinji materialized in front of him. The next moment, the hall, now a wreck, rebuilt itself brick by brick right before his eyes. In a flash, it was as good as new, like the explosion never happened. This time, Deidara was certain he was under some kind of illusion, though he was still reeling from shock. "When did you even cast that?" Shinji said coolly, "The moment you looked into my eyes, you lost." Deidara's gaze locked onto Shinji, focusing on the red eyes glowing with a strange light under his mask. "Sharingan. You're from the Uchiha clan, huh?" Seeing Deidara's surprise, a thought popped into Shinji's head. Instantly, a blinding light erupted behind him, forcing Deidara to shield his eyes. Shinji spoke, his voice firm. "You and your art are worthless. You want to see what real brilliance is? Join us." He intensified his power over his eyes. The detonating clay in Deidara's hands crumbled into dust, even the clay pouch at his waist. Deidara was speechless. His art was his ninja way. Explosion was justice. But now, under the gaze of Shinji's Sharingan, the explosions he was so proud of had become nothing more than a silly game, something that could be erased, changed, and rebuilt on a whim. He couldn't even control his own clay. Everything he was, even his beliefs and convictions, had been exposed as a joke. This is real art. No way. There's nothing more awesome than explosions. Damn it, he stared at his hands, a look of anguish on his face. Seeing that Deidara was beginning to crack, Shinji pressed on. "Only by joining us will you see something greater." "Fine." Deidara wasn't happy about it, but he was ready to admit defeat. As he nodded, he felt a jolt, and when he came to, the temple was just as it was. The same three figures were standing in front of him, not even their positions had changed. He glanced down. The clay spider, the one that should have blown the place to kingdom come, was still in his hand. Everything was as it had been, as if the last few moments were just a daydream. Looking at Shinji and his crew again, Deidara felt differently now. Even the red cloud cloak, which he didn't think twice about before, now seemed to be a symbol of something profound. Shinji declared, "From now on, you're a member of Akatsuki." "An insider?" Deidara's jaw dropped. Even Shiro and Karen, who were standing behind Shinji, were a little surprised. Shinji continued, "Later, members from the outer circle will come to recruit you. You'll join them and keep an eye on their every move." Deidara wasn't pleased. "Hey, I don't want to hang out with a bunch of losers, huh?" Shinji's tone remained level. "Those on the outside aren't the best, but they're not exactly losers. You'll see what I mean once you get to know them." "Humph." Deidara sulked, a little peeved. Shinji ignored his grumbling. "Some of the outer members have been acting weird lately. Be careful not to blow your cover as an insider." Deidara asked, "How do I get in touch with you? Contact a ghost, Shinji thought to himself. Out loud, he said, "Don't worry, I'll be in touch." "Alright then." Deidara plopped back onto the ground, shooting glances at Shinji every so often. Shinji had said enough. He turned and led Bai and Karen out of the hall. Once they were alone, away from the hall, Bai asked, "My lord, about just now?" Shinji cut him off with a shake of his head, telling him not to pry. Bai understood and shut his mouth. Shinji turned to Karen. "Was it him you sensed earlier?" Karen shook her head. "I'm not sure. That feeling is gone." Shinji pondered. With the trail gone cold, staying longer risked running into actual Akatsuki members coming to recruit Deidara. If that happened, they could all be wiped out. Sensing Shinji's hesitation, Karen said apologetically, "I'm sorry, my lord. Maybe I was wrong. It's happened before." Shinji waved it off. "You're only 7. Making mistakes is normal. Don't worry about it." Karen was relieved. Checking the sky, Shinji said, "Alright, we've been gone long enough. Let's head back." Staying away from their apartment for too long was risky. All three of them had either a bloodline trait or the immortal body. The village had its eye on them. Umbu could raid their home at any time. Whoosh. In an instant, the three of them vanished into the trees. Then, a dark figure popped its head out from a bush nearby, its face a mess of fear. "They can track chakra. It was worth it to sacrifice half my flesh and blood and all the stuff I took. They almost caught me." that the figure looked toward the temple, lost in thought. Akatsuki. Lord Lantern, the one ruling this world, is the leader. I have to get this info back. Chapter 54 Grandma's Kaleidoscope. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Back at the apartment, Shinji immediately deactivated his Kaleidoscope Sharingan. Fighting the throbbing in his eyes, he stashed away the mask and Akatsuki cloak, then, he jumped in the shower, scrubbing off any lingering sense from the mission, and collapsed on the bed. Here we go again. This time, the eye strain lingered longer than usual. While not as excruciating as before, the persistent discomfort was a stark reminder of how much he'd drained his chakra. Damn it, that he sighed, frustrated, he was pushing himself to the limit. During his travels, he was constantly studying or training, never allowing himself a moment of rest, but being stuck in an 8-year-old's body seriously capped his potential. Against these ghouls and their bizarre vampire techniques, he was forced to rely on the Kaleidoscope Sharingan. He had no other choice, and each time they invaded, he had to repeatedly unleash his Mangekyo techniques. This time, he'd even spammed Susanoo and Amaterasu. While they were incredibly effective, resolving the battle quickly, the cost was a massive drain on his chakra reserves, and then there was sealing the memories of hundreds of survivors, a further strain on his reserves. Just moments before, he'd used the Kaleidoscope Sharingan to force Didala into a genjutsu. Didala wasn't some random villager, and dragging him into a dream like that took a serious amount of chakra. Shinji still wasn't particularly skilled at dream weaving. His genjutsu usage was still rather clumsy. I've gotta find a way to get my hands on the eternal Mangekyo Sharingan. ASAP, that he made a silent vow. Even though he currently controlled 2 sets of Kaleidoscope Sharingan, giving him a decent chakra pool for now, he was doomed if he didn't start thinking long-term. He couldn't afford to deplete his reserves. The next day, Shinji went to the Ninja Academy as usual. Despite their shared life-or-death experience, Bai and Xianglin were acting incredibly cautious. Even in the same classroom, they didn't exchange a single word all morning. They were only communicating with furtive glances, but Shinji, ever observant, picked up on it immediately. After the morning's classroom session, Shinji requested a leave of absence from Irika and headed straight to the Konoha archives. The librarian assumed Shinji was there to borrow the Shadow Clone Technique scroll again, but instead, Shinji asked to see the Uchiha clan's genealogy. After the Uchiha clan was wiped out, everything belonging to the clan was confiscated by the village, including the family tree that chronicled the Uchiha clan's history. Shinji was drawing a blank on how to get his hands on the eternal Mangekyo Sharingan, so he wanted to comb through the family tree in hopes of finding some kind of clue. Genealogy. After double-checking the records, the librarian pulled a large tome from the shelves and handed it to Shinji. Thanks. Clutching the Uchiha family tree, Shinji found a seat and settled in. He began flipping through the pages, his fingertips tracing each name. Finally, they landed on Shinji Uchiha. Got it. Having found his name, Shinji followed his lineage upwards. Mother, Uchiha Imiko. Father, Uchiha Kengura. The genealogy clearly stated that his mother, Uchiha Imiko, never awakened her Sharingan. His father, Uchiha Kengura, had a 3-tomo Sharingan, but he died in the Third Shinobi World War, and even his body was destroyed. He sighed softly. Yeah, the blood relative thing probably won't work. Even though his hopes were dwindling, he flipped back a page. Grandfather, Uchiha Geniki, 3-tomo. Grandmother, Uchiha Hari, eyes closed. Great-grandfather, Uchiha. Suddenly, his eyes snapped back. His gaze, which had already moved on, darted back to his grandmother, Uchiha Hari's name. Uchiha Hari. He hadn't thought anything of the name at first, but on closer reflection, he realized that the name was identical to the female Uchiha from his memories who created the forbidden technique Izanami. No way. He scrutinized the genealogy, noting that the entries for Uchiha Hari were sparse, consisting only of a brief mention of her joining the police force. However, there was no indication that Uchiha Hari had ever awakened her Sharingan. Typically, any Uchiha who awakened their Sharingan would have a note confirming that fact, since not everyone could awaken it. But to Shinji, this omission was suspicious. You usually had to be a ninja to qualify for the police force, yet she'd joined the force without awakening her Sharingan, and then there was the name Uchiha Hari itself. Considering all of this, alongside his memories, Shinji was struck with a sudden realization. Could it be that my grandma developed Izanami? Following this train of thought, Shinji carefully recalled Uchiha Hari's Mangekyo pattern. His memory was a little hazy, but he could roughly recall that her Mangekyo Sharingan was unique to the Uchiha clan. The pattern seemed to be 3 petal patterns arranged in a character shape. He recalled his own Mangekyo pattern, 3 interlocking ink circles arranged in a zigzag shape. No mistake. There's still a pair of Mangekyo Sharingan connected to my blood in this world. A powerful set of Mangekyo that developed Izanami. Shinji shot to his feet, sending his chair crashing to the floor. The librarian looked over and asked, "Everything okay?" Shinji quickly suppressed his excitement and shook his head. "Sorry, I got a little emotional seeing so many casualties in the family tree." The librarian stared at Shinji intently for a moment before replying, "Just keep it down. This is a library." Shinji nodded and righted the chair. Once he was sure the librarian's gaze had left him, he secretly exhaled in relief, carefully closed the Uchiha family tree, returned it to the librarian, and quietly left the archives. Suppressing his excitement, he made sure he wasn't being followed on his way back to the apartment. Once inside, he activated a silencing seal in the bathroom. Poof, a cloud of white smoke appeared, and the coal briquette emerged, craning its neck. Before the briquette could speak, Shinji asked anxiously, "Did you happen to see Uchiha Hari's Sharingan in the root base's secret vault last time?" The briquette was confused by Shinji's question. After thinking it over, it shook its head and said, "Doesn't ring a bell." "No." The briquette pondered again, then became more certain. "Nope. Definitely not. Danzo only had maybe 80 or 90 Sharingan in his collection." The coal briquette had seen all of Uchiha Fugaku's Sharingan the first time it scoped things out. It could confirm that Uchiha Hari's eye wasn't displayed in Danzo's secret vault. Second update is here. Please give us recommendations, monthly tickets, and follow. Chapter 55 Why Are You Here? Third update. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 55, Why Are You Here? No. There's no way. Shinji frowned, then clapped, realizing something was off. Something wasn't adding up. The ones with names had to be marked by the medical corps to ID them after the Sharingan were removed from the massacre victims. Uchiha Yuri was from the same era as the first and second Hokage. She'd been dead for ages. Even if the family had preserved her Mangekyo Sharingan, they wouldn't have put her name on it. Figuring this out, Shinji turned to the coal ball and asked, "Are there any Sharingan without names in Danzo's secret stash?" That if the Uchiha clan really kept Uchiha Jiri's Mangekyo, then this precious family heirloom was probably confiscated by the village and ended up with Danzo. This time, the coal ball replied immediately, "Yeah, there are some jars without names." Shinji picked up the coal ball, excited. "What kind of jars? What's with you? What's the deal?" The coal ball was curious but answered Shinji seriously, "Those jars look kind of old, and the eyes inside might not work anymore." Old. This confirmed Shinji's suspicion. The Uchiha clan had a habit of recycling Sharingan, as seen with Madara, and someone even suggested Fuyue recycle Kakashi's Sharingan, so, those old jars probably contained Sharingan that the Uchiha clan themselves had recovered. But Shinji was also worried, like the coal ball said, after soaking for so long, who knew if they'd still work? Eyes are organs, how long could they last without the body's chakra? Plus, the Uchiha were obsessed with developing pupil techniques, not biotechnology. Their preservation methods were nothing like Madara's secret experiments with first Hokage cells, or Orochimaru's forbidden jutsu. "We need to get them ASAP." Shinji emphasized. "Get everything." But he wasn't just after his grandmother's Mangekyo. His grandmother made him think of a secret of the Uchiha clan. After Madara stormed off, the Uchiha had a brief civil war. Several Uchiha elites who'd survived the Warring States period awakened their Mangekyo Sharingan, and because Madara's departure left the patriarch position vacant, they fought a bloody battle for it. The forbidden jutsu, Izanagi, was abused at the time. To end the fighting, Uchiha devised Izanami, which could counter Izanagi, and finally restored order. In other words, besides Madara and Izuna, there had been other Mangekyo Sharingan users in the Uchiha clan. It was just that the first Hokage was so powerful, he overshadowed everyone else. Even Mangekyo Sharingan users were dwarfed by him, so they didn't dare stand out, afraid of drawing the first and second Hokage's ire. That's why there's no mention of Uchiha Hari awakening her Mangekyo in the family records. Outsiders wouldn't have access to the family records. The Uchiha didn't leave any evidence, which shows how scared they were of the first and second Hokage. Shinji suspected that the second Hokage saw through their deception and feared the Uchiha's power, so he wooed and suppressed them at the same time. Shinji even suspected the second Hokage secretly attacked the Uchiha clan. Otherwise, how did Danzo, the second Hokage's disciple, master Izanagi, before the Uchiha were wiped out? He used it to attack Shisui, disrupting the balance of power between the village and the Uchiha. Where did Danzo get Izanagi? Shisui's reaction when attacked suggested he didn't expect Danzo to know Izanagi. The Uchiha clan didn't know Danzo had Izanagi, meaning it was probably stolen. This mutual fear led Shinji to believe those Uchiha elites who'd awakened the Mangekyo might have kept their Mangekyo Sharingan for emergencies, so, those old jars in Danzo's possession might contain Mangekyo Sharingan, maybe even more than one pair. Crap, I stole Uchiha Fugaku's Mangekyo from Danzo last time. Will he get suspicious and check all the Sharingan? Shinji felt a sense of urgency. He needed to get the Sharingan from Danzo ASAP, or Danzo might discover their secret temple. Uchiha Itachi, Loquat Juzo, and Red Sand Scorpion walked into the hall, looking at Deidara. Scorpion said, "This blonde kid is supposed to be my partner. He looks like he's on borrowed time." Clang! Juzo slammed his executioner's blade into the floor, leaning on it with a grin. "Don't underestimate him, he's on several wanted lists." Itachi looked at Deidara and stepped forward. "We're here." Before Itachi could finish, Deidara picked his ear impatiently. "What are you doing here?" Itachi, usually emotionless, was taken aback. Deidara glanced at them. "These three look shady. No wonder they're from the backup team, they're way worse than our regulars." "Humph," Juzo asked, "do you know us?" "The Akatsuki." Deidara held out his hand. "Where's my cloak and mask?" Scorpion said, "Do you know we're here to recruit you?" Deidara shot back, "Why else would you be looking for me?" Scorpion, annoyed, said, "Watch your tone, kid, unless you want to die young." Juzo chuckled. "This kid's interesting, saves us trouble." "Itachi, what do you think?" Itachi threw the prepared Akatsuki robe to Deidara without a word. Deidara caught it, puzzled. "No mask?" Chapter 56 Survival in the Wild. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Jingle bell, the bell rang, and Irika walked into the classroom, announcing, "All right, everyone, the Ninja Academy is doing wilderness survival training today." Wilderness survival? Shinji, who'd been spacing out, frowned. Irika continued, "The training's in the forest of death next to the village. Don't worry, a teacher will be with you the whole time." Someone raised their hand. "Mr. Irika, can we bring snacks?" "Yeah." Irika nodded. "What about a grill? Can we bring pets? I'm gonna wear my new outfit." Suddenly, the class erupted in excited chatter, with teachers supervising. Everyone figured safety wasn't an issue and quickly turned survival training into camping trip. Irika sighed and knocked on his desk. "There'll be other classes participating, and there'll be some competitions. Losers face punishment." Tenten smirked. "Mr. Irika, you think we'll lose?" She glanced smugly at Shinji and Niji. Irika shook his head. "The wilderness is nothing like you imagine. If you go into this with that attitude, you're in for a rude awakening." Class dismissed. "Go get ready, and meet back here at noon." The class stampeded out. Shinji returned to his apartment and inventoried his ninja tools. even though it sounded harmless, he had a bad feeling about this wilderness survival thing. Better safe than sorry, he meticulously prepared his gear. Meanwhile, he was still plotting how to take all those Sharingan eyes from Danzo. The more he understood the Susa-Zun lamp, the more he felt that if he could evolve his Mangekyo Sharingan into an eternal Mangekyo Sharingan, that a Susa-Zun lamp's power would also get a serious upgrade. How do I distract Danzo from the Sharingan? What does he want most right now? That the answer was simple. Danzo wanted Sasuke and, by extension, his Sharingan. Shinji stroked his chin. Danzo's secret study of Uchiha forbidden arts, his body modifications, and the sheer number of Sharingan he transplanted showed his obsession was off the charts. Diverting his attention from the Sharingan right now would be tough. Am I going to force my way in again? That he shook his head, judging by Danzo's fight against Sasuke, who'd awakened his own Mangekyo Sharingan. Danzo was no pushover. Sasuke might not have won that fight without Obito's help. After all, Danzo had always kept Shirsuizai with its special ability in reserve to deal with the more mysterious Obito. If he'd used Byakugan on Sasuke directly, Sasuke would have been in deep trouble. Shinji knew he was no match for Sasuke at that point, and Danzo in his root base wouldn't be alone. Besides his own followers, other forces in the village would back him up if things got ugly. Too risky. If Shinji tried to break into a trap set by Danzo, it wouldn't end well. Suppressing his eagerness, Shinji forced himself to calm down. He'd try his best if there was a chance, but he wouldn't be stupid and force things if it was obvious he couldn't succeed. Noon. The two classes doing the survival training met at the academy and headed for the Forest of Death. Shinji scanned the group and spotted Naruto's class with Sasuke. Naruto, fresh out of the hospital, was there too, which made Shinji uneasy. Why are only our two classes doing this training? Something definitely felt off, maybe because of yesterday's schoolyard brawl. Lots of people in the two classes knew each other, so they were laughing and joking, not taking the survival training seriously. Many were even sharing snacks like they were on a picnic. Soon, led by Iruka and Mizuki, the group entered the Forest of Death. Whoa! Look at that giant tree. Is that a snake over there? Lots of students were entering the Forest of Death for the first time and were instantly captivated. Shinji, who'd snuck in before, wasn't as impressed. Sasuke was initially surprised, but seeing Shinji's indifferent expression, he quickly masked his own reaction. Neji activated his Byakugan, scanning their surroundings. After a kilometer or two, Iruka announced, "Alright, let's set up camp here." Everyone sprang into action. Some pitched tents, others set up grills, and others gathered firewood, directing the chaos. Iruka shouted, "Stay close by, don't wander off alone." "Got it." Everyone replied. Shinji walked over to Neji. "Did you find anything?" Neji seemed surprised that Shinji was talking to him, but shook his head. "Probably because there are so many of us. The wild animals are avoiding us." Shinji said, "Be careful." Neji was puzzled. He couldn't understand why Shinji was so cautious with a teacher leading them, but he nodded. "I will." Seeing Shinji and Neji whispering, Sasuke pretended not to notice but drifted closer, trying to overhear. Bai and Haku took the opportunity to team up and pitch a tent together. Naruto, Kiba, and Lee were noisily collecting firewood. Shikamaru and Choji were setting up the grill. Sakura, Hinata, and Ino were huddled around a rabbit. Iruka smiled, watching the scene. He walked over to Mizuki, who was leaning against a tree, and said, "Looks like this survival training is turning into a camping trip." Mizuki chuckled. "Good for the kids to relax." Iruka still seemed uneasy. "But this is the Forest of Death. I'm worried something might happen." "Don't worry, we're here." Mizuki paused. "And the Umbu protecting Sasuke is here too." Thump, star. Just as Iruka was about to reply, there was a thud nearby. Everyone looked around and saw an Umbu agent had fallen from the sky, crashing to the ground, his fate unknown. Chapter 57 Mysterious Man. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Whoa! The sight of Umbu plummeting from the sky, life hanging in the balance, sparked a flurry of shouts from the students. Whoosh, Star, Iruka and Mizuki were instantly at Umbu's side. One took watch while the other knelt to assess the damage. Just then, a figure emerged from the trees, moving with a slow, deliberate pace. "Hey! You! Who are you?" Mizuki yelled, but before he could finish the question, Mizuki froze. The figure, just yards away moments before, now stood right in front of him. "Wah!" The man launched a kick, bang, Mizuki, a chunin, didn't even have time to react. The kick sent him flying into a tree with a sickening thud. He slumped, unconscious. Irika, still kneeling beside Umbu, watched in shock. "Everybody, scatter!" He yelled to the students behind him, pulling out a kunai to shield them. He knew that he, a mere chunin, couldn't possibly stand against the newcomer's speed. All he could do was buy the student some time, but the man simply delivered a swift chop to Irika's neck. Irika went limp, collapsing to the ground. How is that possible? The teachers are chunin. Fear paralyzed the students, making them forget their escape. The figure, having dealt with Mizuki and Irika with casual ease, continued his advance toward the group of students. In the crowd, Shinji's face darkened. Could it be Orochimaru? He wondered. Bandages obscured the mysterious man's face, making him hard to identify. But the intense, predatory gleam in his eyes as he looked at Sasuke, and the snake-like flick of his tongue, offered a disturbing clue. Sasuke stepped forward, calling out to Shinji and Niji, "Perfect. A chance for a rematch." Shinji glanced at Sasuke, thinking, "Man, you've got guts." Niji, rolling his eyes, wore a grave expression. "Don't be so reckless. The amount of chakra radiating from him is 10 times greater than any jonin I've ever encountered." "What?" Sasuke looked surprised. It really is Orochimaru. Then, Shinji thought, chakra levels exceeding those of regular ninja by a tenfold put him in a class of his own. The man's identity seemed all but confirmed. The mysterious man flicked his tongue, his voice a gravelly whisper. "So, you're the little brat who tamed the Nine Tails." Sasuke activated his Sharingan, glaring at the mysterious man. "If you're looking for trouble, you've come to the wrong place." "Ha ha ha." The mysterious man threw open his arms, letting loose a booming laugh. Suddenly, an overwhelming surge of chakra, laced with a murderous aura so intense it felt almost tangible, pulsed outward from the man. The shockwave sent many students sprawling to the ground. Dumbstruck with terror, Sasuke and Niji felt a primal tremor, their bodies locking up as if paralyzed. Of the crowd, only Shinji seemed capable of resisting the man's deadly intent. But even he was shaken. The sheer force of the opponent's chakra, killing intent, and presence left no doubt. This ninja operated on a completely different level. The mysterious man continued to approach, his gaze lingering on Sasuke's Sharingan with an unsettling obsession. Realizing the dire situation, Sasuke bit his tongue, using the pain to break free from the man's paralyzing presence. "Idiot, Naruto, don't just stand there, run!" he yelled. Shinji turned and shouted to Bai, "Get everyone out of here, now." Bai hesitated for a moment but then complied, beginning to herd the others away. The mysterious man didn't try to stop them. He simply watched Sasuke and Shinji with a twisted smirk. Shinji now understood if this was indeed Orochimaru. The man must have been drawn by the news of Sasuke awakening the Sharingan and subduing the Nine Tails, and, judging by the timing, Orochimaru likely sought to acquire the Sharingan after his defeat by Itachi. The realization filled him with dread. He and Sasuke were the only remaining Uchiha survivors aside from Itachi. They were undoubtedly Orochimaru's target. Soon, all the other students had fled, leaving only Shinji, Sasuke, and Niji to face the mysterious figure. Shinji knew that escape was pointless. The man was here for him. Sasuke and Niji felt obligated to stand their ground, to live up to their reputations as geniuses. The mysterious man gave a nod of approval. "Standing up to me? You three brats aren't half bad." Shinji wasted no time. "You two, cover me," he said to Sasuke and Niji. "Just make enough noise to alert the village. They'll notice something's up." Sasuke and Niji took it to heart. Swish, swish, Shinji sprang into action, launching several kunai at the mysterious man before weaving hand signs. The man barely noticed at first. A lazy smile played on his lips as he casually dodged each kunai with a slight tilt of his head, but the smile died on his face. He suddenly realized that imperceptible wires trailed behind the kunai, each ending in sizzling, ignited explosive tags, *boom. Boom. Boom, explosions erupted around the mysterious man in rapid succession. He leaped into the air, smoke and debris billowing around him. Fire style, fireball jutsu. Shinji, having completed the hand signs, aimed the fireball at the exploding smoke cloud. The mysterious man, having just landed on a branch, was caught completely off guard when the huge fireball consumed him, bathing the forest in its fiery light. What? The mysterious man was surprised, and then the fireball swallowed him completely. Whoa! Sasuke and Neji stood frozen, staring at the inferno. They knew Shinji had mastered the fireball jutsu, but they'd never imagined it was this powerful. It was on another level entirely. Shinji, having launched the first attack, didn't stand around waiting to see the result. Instead, he turned and fled. In truth, even if the mysterious man hadn't jumped, his fireball would have been aimed upward. His intention wasn't to kill, but to set the forest canopy ablaze, creating a signal fire to alert the village. Seeing Sasuke and Neji gaping at the burning canopy, Shinji grabbed them, shouting, "What are you waiting for? Run!" A short while later, the mysterious man emerged from the smoke and dust, licking his tongue as he watched the three boys flee. "How interesting," he said. End of this chapter. Chapter 58. Don't worry about the rest. Third update. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Why are we running? Did your ninjutsu even hit him? Sasuke asked, frustration lacing his voice. He'd built his ego on being special, awakening his Sharingan young, taming the nine-tailed fox, saving the village. But this Shinji guy kept knocking him down a peg. Shinji, already sprinting ahead, ignored Sasuke's complaining. He couldn't risk revealing his Mangekyo Sharingan just yet. If he did, the village would investigate his break-in at the ANBU headquarters and route base. That would leave him with two choices, desert or leave the village on his own. If he ran, grabbing the Uchiha clan's Sharingan from Danzo would become way harder. He's gaining on us, Neji announced. What? Sasuke exclaimed, surprised. That fire didn't even singe him. Shinji inventoried his ninja tools, then decided, we can't outrun him. We need to find a spot and set up an ambush. Sasuke and Neji nodded. They were clearly slower. If they kept running, they'd be caught for sure. Better to prepare a trap and improve their odds, at least by themselves sometime. Whoosh, the mysterious guy dropped from the sky, landing lightly. Shinji's great fireball technique hadn't fazed him at all. He still wore that same calm smile. He spotted their footprints leading into the grass and followed them, but just as he was about to step inside, he froze, hidden in the grass. Sasuke clenched his fists. He's gonna spring the trap. Come on, man. What's taking so long? Shinji knew the guy had seen through his plan, so he threw a kunai and sliced the tripwire. Thwack, thwack, thwack. As the wire snapped, a chain reaction began. Other wires, strung in different directions, broke and tangled in the air, forming a giant web that hurtled toward the mysterious man. Even Sasuke and Neji, who'd watched Shinji set it up, stared wide-eyed. What kind of move was that? What happened next shocked them even more. As the wire mesh fell, other wires were pulled taut, dragging a long string of explosive tags that wrapped around the mysterious man from all sides. Boom. Boom. Boom, the explosion engulfed the mysterious man. Before Neji could confirm with his Byakugan, Sasuke jumped up from the grass. We got him, whoosh, He barely finished the sentence before a rush of wind hit him from behind. His Sharingan flared, and he spun, throwing an elbow back, but he missed. Before he could recover, he felt a sharp pain in his gut, and he was sent flying, slamming into a tree. The mysterious man cracked his neck, his gaze shifting from Sasuke to Shinji. Impressive to get this far without even awakening your Sharingan. Shinji frowned. During the ambush, he'd used the threads he got from the ghost, pushing his Uchiha Shuriken Jutsu to the limit, but not being able to unleash his Mangekyo Sharingan had left an opening, one the guy had spotted and easily exploited with the body flicker technique. It was a gap in raw power, one that couldn't be bridged by a simple trap. Sasuke clutched his stomach and tried to stand. "Damn it, you bastard!" Swish! The mysterious man flashed in front of Sasuke. Sasuke froze, then took another punch to the gut. Gah! Sasuke spat out blood, curling up on the ground like a shrimp. He was only 7. Even with the Sharingan, he was helpless against this guy. "He's too strong," Neji stated. "We have to fight him together." Shinji calculated his remaining ninja tools, and together he and Neji charged. The mysterious man didn't even bother turning, just glanced back at them with that same playful expression. Knowing how outmatched they were, Neji skipped the probing attacks and went straight for the most powerful gentle fist technique he knew, the 8 trigrams 32 palms. But the mysterious man broke his gentle fist with a simple chop and a palm strike to his lungs, leaving him gasping for air and collapsing to the ground. Shinji stayed back, throwing kunai while retreating into the tall grass. Seeing the kunai, their ends tied with wires and explosive tags, the mysterious man shook his head and leaped onto a distant tree, but the expected explosions never came. Instead, 2 more kunai shot from the grass, striking the earlier kunai and redirecting their trajectory. The mysterious man's eyes narrowed. The kunai flew between Sasuke's and Neji's legs at a tricky angle, wrapping the wires around their legs. Then, with a tug, Shinji pulled Sasuke and Neji into the grass. The mysterious man smirked. Inside the grass, Shinji quickly set up his remaining explosive tags and wires, then heaved Sasuke and Neji over his shoulders, running for his life without looking back. He knew his taijutsu was no better than theirs. If they really fought, the guy would probably take him down in a few moves. After running for a while, Neji choked out, "Put me down, I can walk." Sasuke quickly chimed in, "Me too." Shinji dropped them, gasping for air. He'd pushed the breathing method to its limit to escape, and his lungs felt like they were on fire. Sasuke asked, fear still clinging to his voice, "Is he still coming?" Before Neji could activate his Byakugan, a figure dropped from the sky, knocking Neji unconscious. Another figure followed, striking Sasuke, who fell beside Neji. Shinji leaped back, on alert, then recognized the newcomers as root ninjas. Danzo's involved too. He'd assumed Orochimaru was behind this, but he hadn't expected Danzo. But suddenly, an idea struck him. What if Danzo's men deliberately dragged him to Root? That would save him the trouble of sneaking in. Plus, this whole thing was a big deal. The third Hokage would get involved, and Danzo would have to yield to him if he got brought back to the Root base. He could use the opportunity to snatch all the Sharingan back from Danzo. So, when the Root ninja attacked, he pretended to be helpless, took a punch, and collapsed. "Heh, I'm such a genius," he lay on the ground, feigning dizziness, secretly thrilled, waiting to be taken to Danzo's lair by the Root ninja. Then, he overheard the Root ninjas talking. "Bring Uchiha Sasuke back," one said. The other pointed at Shinji and Neji. "What about the other 2? "Don't worry about the rest." Shinji was stunned, his mind racing. Asterisk what? Asterisk. Chapter 59. Why didn't you take me away? You are listening at novelfull.audio. What the heck? I'm an Uchiha too. Why didn't you grab me? Shinji was fuming. He was already mapping out how he'd swipe all the Sharingan from Danzo's secret stash after being dragged into his lair, but these 2 Root guys just ignored him. Unbelievable. Just then, Sasuke, slung under a Root ninja's arm, snapped awake. "Who are you?" "Huh?" The Root ninjas were caught off guard. Turns out, even though Sasuke, having awakened his Tsutomu Sharingan, couldn't dodge the sneak attack completely, he sensed it coming and braced himself, preventing them from hitting the most vulnerable spots. Plus, the Root guys were under orders to bring Sasuke in alive, so they weren't exactly going for a knockout. That's why Sasuke woke up so fast. Seeing his chance, Shinji played possum, jumped up, and yelled, "Stop! I won't let you take Sasuke." The 2 Root ninjas frowned and exchanged glances. One of them got the message, zipped over to Shinji, and landed a chop on his neck, asterisk thwack star, Shinji went down. Done. Let's move. The root ninja turned to leave, but as soon as he took a step, he felt Shinji grab his ankle. He looked back to see Shinji back on his feet. Put Sasuke down. You little brat. The root ninja's face darkened. Sasuke, still under the other root ninja's arm, shouted, Shinji, asterisk thwack star, another neck chop, and Shinji crumpled again. This time, the root ninja didn't turn around right away. He just stared at Shinji on the ground before saying to his partner, this Uchiha kid is a real pain. Sasuke was struggling like crazy. Damn it. What did you do to Shinji? Let me go. The root holding Sasuke got annoyed and punched him a couple of times in the gut. Sasuke, winded and doubled over, couldn't fight anymore, but just as the two root were about to disappear, that voice they dreaded piped up again. Put Sasuke down, or I'm not letting you go. The two looked back at Shinji, who was getting up again, and scowled. This brat, Sasuke, tears streaming down his face, pleaded, Shinji, just leave me. Shinji, who'd taken a few hits, was getting frustrated. You two jerks. If you're not gonna grab me, that's just rude. So, you're not gonna let it go, huh? The root ninja grinned. Fine. We'll take you along too. With that, the root ninja grabbed Shinji and they bolted, asterisk whoosh, whoosh star, the root ninjas disappeared with Shinji, and a short time later, a squad of Umbu raced to the scene, following the tracks and finding Niji passed out. After waking Niji, an Umbu wearing a dog mask asked, who attacked you? Do you know where Sasuke Uchiha is? Niji shook his head, trying to remember. I didn't get a good look at the attacker. Us. The dog-masked Umbu pressed. Who else was with you? Seeing that Shinji and Sasuke were gone, Niji realized what had happened and said, Shinji and Sasuke were with me. Then he quickly filled the Umbu in on how they were ambushed, asterisk whoosh star, another Umbu landed next to the dog-masked one. We found the other kids. So, it's just the two Uchihas missing. The dog-masked Umbu sighed. Report to Lord Hokage. Inside the root base, staring at the familiar spiral staircase leading deep underground, Shinji memorized every detail. Since his last visit, the base's layout had been completely revamped, with reinforced walls everywhere. The spiral staircase was more complicated too, with corridors he'd never seen before, asterisk they've rebuilt it, star, Shinji noticed. Soon, he and Sasuke were tossed into adjacent prison cells at the bottom of the base. The two root searched them for any ninja tools, then shackled their hands and feet with steel chains. Don't even think about escaping. Just stay put. With that warning, the two root left. After they were gone, Sasuke called through the cell wall to Shinji, Shinji, I'm sorry. I got you into this mess. Shinji was busy plotting, so he just said, we're the last Uchihas. Don't talk like that. Sasuke fell silent. Shinji's words reminded him of the night his clan was massacred, and the person he had to kill with his own hands. Examining his cell carefully, Shinji saw there were no surveillance cameras. It was probably just a temporary holding area, not a long-term prison. Then he tugged at the chains, but they wouldn't budge. Those root ninjas had thought things through. There was no way a couple of 8-year-olds could break free from those chains without tools. Sitting back down, Shinji checked the time. It had been over an hour since the attack. The Forest of Death was right next to the village. Even if the village was slow to react, they should have noticed something was wrong by now and started investigating. Sasuke was a high-priority target, so his disappearance would trigger the third Hokage's direct involvement. If the third isn't tied up with something else, he'll be negotiating with Danzo now. We'll know in 30 minutes max. I don't have much time. That he made up his mind. Shinji immediately formed a hand seal, performed the shadow clone technique, and created a shadow clone. Then he bit his finger and summoned Kuro. What's going on? Seeing Shinji in chains, Kuro freaked out. He wanted to bolt. Shinji's shadow clone grabbed him. Shinji curled his lip in annoyance. Darling of the night. Elf of the moon. Shadow domination. Famous ninja. This is it. Kuro ducked his head. I was gonna go back and get backup. Shinji, in a hurry, didn't waste time. He laid out the plan for Kuro, then said, remember, grab all the Sharingan this time. Kuro hesitated. There are a ton of them. How am I gonna carry them? Shinji asked, don't you have a storage scroll or something? Kuro replied, yeah, but it's got ninja tools in it. They're worth a lot. Shinji waved his hand dismissively. I'll cover the cost of the lost ninja tools. Just grab as many Sharingan as you can. Kuro perked up at that, and followed Shinji's instructions, melting into the shadows, sneaking out of the cell, unlocking the door from the outside, and setting off with Shinji's shadow clone. Watching his shadow clone and Kuro disappear, Shinji summoned his second ninja cat. He couldn't rely on Kuro alone. He needed to create a distraction to cover Kuro's tracks. Chapter 60 Moved. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Princess Fengji stepped out of the white smoke, wrinkling her nose at the dingy cells, careful not to touch the floor with her white fur. She leaped onto Shinji. He stretched out his hands, rattling the chains. Quick, use wind style to cut these. Wind style was the sharpest tool for the job. Advanced wind style could even slice through Susanu's defenses. Fengji sounded annoyed. You summoned me for this grunt work. Knowing the white cat was full of herself, Shinji played along. This is life or death. You don't want me to kick the bucket with a single-digit lifespan, do you? Fengji perked up. Then I'll save your hide. She flashed through hand signs and yelled at the chains binding Shinji's wrists. Wind style, shockwave, asterisk schwack, starred at a blade of wind shot from her mouth, striking the chain. It hit with a sharp clang, then vanished, leaving the chain untouched. Shinji just looked at her with a seriously expression. Fengji bristled. She weaved more signs, channeled chakra into her paws, and slashed at the chain. Wind style, cat's claw, asterisk clang, starred at a high-pitched screech rang out, and the chain snapped. Whoa, strong. Shinji thought to himself after freeing his legs. Shinji had Fengji use wind style on his cell door. He pretended to break out from the inside, then rushed to Sasuke's cell next door and threw it open. Sasuke looked confused. Shinji, what's going on? Shinji didn't explain. Quick, cut his chains too. Ugh, such a pain. But her claws were lightning fast, severing Sasuke's chains in a flash. Seeing the cat effortlessly break the chains he'd struggled with, Sasuke stared, then blurted out, is that your summon? Were you just talking to her next door? Yeah, let's get out of here. Shinji pulled Sasuke along, fleeing the prison area. As they ran, Sasuke kept glancing at the white cat on Shinji's shoulder. He hadn't expected Shinji to be so well prepared. Not only was he ahead in ninjutsu, taijutsu, and shurikenjutsu, but he had a summon before even graduating from the academy. A feeling of urgency washed over him. He figured his only advantage now was the Sharingan. If Shinji caught up there too, he'd be totally outclassed. Shinji, oblivious to Sasuke's thoughts, was calculating his timing. Back when Danzo seized Yamato, who had wood style, the third Hokage had personally led Umbu to raid Danzo's base, so, with the third Hokage likely to show up any minute, he needed to stir things up to create an opening for his shadow clone and the briquettes on the other side. He steered Sasuke past the siren he'd spotted earlier. Wail. Wail, star. The alarm blared throughout the root base. Sasuke panicked at the sound. Oh. Shinji's face was calm. If we run into trouble, I'll hold them off. You escape and get Hokage-sama to rescue me. Sasuke didn't argue, just nodded reluctantly. He knew Shinji's plan was the right one. If he tried to fight, neither of them would escape. Soon, several root ninja blocked their path. How did you brats escape? Is that a ninja cat? Damn, we should have sealed her. Seeing Fengji on Shinji's shoulder, the root ninja realized how Shinji had escaped and looked sheepish. Danzo was strict, and they'd be punished for this. As the root ninja approached, Shinji stepped forward and told Sasuke, go. I'll hold them off. Sasuke's eyes were full of emotion. Don't worry, I'll come back for you. Shinji felt a pang of guilt and couldn't meet Sasuke's gaze. He deliberately angled himself towards Danzo's secret vault. Sasuke, running towards the vault, kept looking back, seeing Shinji's determined back. His eyes started to water. Damn it! Why can't I ever help? The root ninja clearly prioritized Sasuke. Seeing him escape, they rushed after him. Shinji yelled to Fungi, "You're on wind, I'm on fire." Fungi, weaving hand signs, snapped, "Be careful. If you singe my fur, I'm breaking the contract." Though it was their first time working together, they were perfectly in sync. Shinji quickly completed his seals. Fire style, fireball jutsu. Fungi unleashed her ninjutsu the instant the fireball was released. Wind style, great shockwave, boom, star. The wind amplified the fire, and Shinji's fireball instantly doubled in size, almost filling the entire corridor. What? Impossible. The root ninja were stunned. They'd seen powerful fire ninjutsu before, but never from an 8-year-old academy student. Knowing they couldn't withstand it, the root ninja abandoned the chase and scattered. But Danzo's root base was structured like a giant, downward-sloping chimney. Taking advantage of the chimney effect, Shinji's fireball intensified, growing into a massive inferno. Boom. Boom. Boom, star. A huge explosion echoed through the base. Even the blaring alarms seemed faint against the blasts. No one expected the ninjutsu to cause such devastation. The root ninja, and even Shinji himself, looked surprised. Swish. Swish, star. The sound of rushing wind filled the air, and figures landed on the spiral staircase. Shinji saw the third Hokage, wearing his Hokage robes, leading a large group of heavily armed Umbu, and with the third Hokage was Danzo, his face ashen. Danzo shot Shinji a dirty look, then asked his subordinates, "Where is Sasuke Uchiha?" A root ninja rushed forward, pointing towards the secret vault. "Lord Danzo, Uchiha Sasuke escaped that way." Boom, star. An explosion cut him off. It came from the same direction he was pointing.